Thank you for watching. My name is Glenn Morgan, and this is We the Governed. And today we're going to be talking about an issue that's very current in the news right now, and it has to do with the overall issue related to what happens when crazed leftists are just attacking you out there for daring to participate in the political process and expressing any kind of free speech, because if there's one thing the left absolutely doesn't believe in, it's free speech. And unfortunately, we get evidence of this all the time. And the obvious stuff is just a whole series of stories about crazy leftists and Karens just coming out and violently assaulting and attacking and just doing crazy stuff to signature gatherers for Let's Go Washington. And you can see some stories that have been out here recently. The Linwood Times has written about this. Brandy Cruz did a whole video about some of this. But no matter when the stories are published, it just keeps getting worse and worse. There's just more cases all the time, dozens and dozens and dozens. And now I believe there are probably over 30 some odd cases at the time I'm recording this video of violent assaults and attacks by crazed leftists. So let's get into this whole story. Before we do, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button down below, please do so, and make sure you share this video with others so that they can also know what's going on in their community. There's a lot going on in Washington State. I can't get to everything, but every time I get a story out like this, I think it's important, and sharing it with a larger number of people just simply allows us to get the information out to a wider audience. Now, if you want to know more, I do encourage you to go to the Let's Go Washington website. I'll link to it down below if you haven't seen it before. What's basically going on is they have two initiatives to the legislature that they're running right now. And these, it's easy to see what they are. They're very, very popular initiatives. One of them is the obvious one here, initiative, and they've changed the way they run these initiative numbers, so they're a little bit different, but IL 26-001. And this is strengthen communication between parents and schools, which is essentially just a parents' rights initiative. The people, if you've signed these in the past for Let's Go Washington, it's essentially restoring what the legislature took out in an effort to conceal the truth about what the schools are doing to your kids. And that is not very popular among parents or among anybody who's sane. And so the people want this to be restored, and that's why they're collecting signatures on it. The other initiative is protecting fairness in girls' sports. Again, another issue that at least polls 80-85% of the population believes that girls should have the ability to compete against girls and not be required to compete against boys. This isn't that hard to figure out unless you're a leftist or maybe you went to Evergreen State College. Regardless of that, this is also not terribly difficult either. And these are the two initiatives that they're collecting signatures on. Again, you can go to their website. I'll link to it down below if you want to learn more. But essentially, these are, just in summary, it's an initiative to the legislature. What it means is that it must be turned in by the end of December. That's kind of their deadline. They are going to need about 400,000 signatures on their initiatives, just like last time. If you remember, they got 7 initiatives across the finish line in 1 year where they had to get at least roughly 400,000 signatures each, and they have to get it on 2 of them this time. And it's going to be on the ballot in 2026 unless the legislature approves it in the meantime, which they could theoretically approve it next spring if they're willing to buck some of the crazy people on their side. I don't know if they will, and it could end up on the ballot in 2026, or the legislature could approve it. But either way, it gets resolved next year, provided these signatures get turned in by the end of the year. I mean, this is how it works. We've talked about this on the show before, about how the initiative process works. I will link to some more videos down below if you don't understand how the initiative process works, what the difference is between initiatives between the people and the legislature. There's a number of different background videos that I'll link to down below if you want to do a little bit more research on it. But that's basically what's going on out there. Now, of course, with the whole Charlie Kirk thing and the assassination of Charlie Kirk just a few weeks ago, there's a heightened level of sensitivity to violence from the left in particular. And so with these recent attacks, there's a lot of concern that this hyped up violence that's going on almost exclusively on the left right now, is going to be an issue, and that we don't clearly want any more of that in the state. So it doesn't matter who these people are exactly, but having so many of them across the state in Tacoma and in Bonnie Lake and in Seattle and in Everett and places, Olympia, places like that, just becoming unhinged and unglued and doing crazy, weird things, that's kind of important. And let's talk about what they have been doing. For example, there have been multiple arrests by the police now for assault. One of the things these signature gatherers are clearly doing is they're recording what's going on, because there's so many crazy people doing crazy things. And they've been able to document it, and the police have indeed arrested a number of people for assaulting them, trying to steal their stuff, damaging it, throwing it in the garbage, whatever they've been doing. There was also one where a crazy person came up, stole a bunch of signature sheets, ran out to her car, and then did a hit and run on another customer at the store, trying to get away with her loot, the initiative sheets that she stole. Finally, this stealing and destroying signature sheets has been so common that that's part of what's been documented as well, where they'll come up and dump paint on it or do different things. And of course, some of the videos you've seen that have been out there about verbal meltdowns, full Karen mode, people coming up and absolutely coming unglued on strangers because they disagreed with what they believe. And it's a bizarre behavior. Never quite understood it, but it is the kind of thing that for some reason some people feel entitled to just come out and scream and yell and verbally assault and attack people instead of just having a dialogue with them. You can actually talk normally to people if you disagree with them. And of all things, that was clearly evidence with Charlie Kirk and what he did for years on college campuses, but that's not something that apparently most of the left that I've seen lately, this isn't something they want to do. Now the question is, what can you do? And this is important, and it's the kind of thing I always like to end my videos with, some very basic things that any one of us can do if we want to get involved and engaged. Number one, contact Let's Go Washington, request some signature sheets, and get them filled out by everybody that you can find. This takes some of the burden off of these signature gatherers that are doing it in public places and getting assaulted and attacked by these crazy leftists. You can also encourage others to fill them out. So if you've already signed and you've got your sheets out, keep promoting the initiatives and get other people to sign them as well. And finally, this is just a thing that you can do that actually would generate a fairly large number of signatures of interested people, is using your church or your business as a place to collect these signatures. Make sure you hold on to those signed sheets and make sure they get to Let's Go Washington. Apparently that's the kind of thing that the crazed leftists are trying to destroy and take away. So if you do it in a more controlled environment where that's not out in the public, you're a lot less likely to be attacked by crazy leftists, and it's more likely then to get those signature sheets done and turned into Let's Go Washington. And that's what you can do if you support it. And if you don't support these initiatives, just don't come up and assault people. That's really all we're asking you to not do. Just don't come up and assault people. If you can control yourself enough not to have a complete meltdown and assault people, then that's fine. You don't have to agree with the other 85% of the population that does agree with these initiatives. So that's it. That's what's going on right now. I think it's an important story. I am hopeful that I'm not going to have to do another story about more crazy people attacking initiative signature gatherers, but we'll have to see what happens. Regardless, if you want to make a difference on this or any other topic like this, you have to be willing to show up. Just like those signature gatherers, just like what you can do to get those sheets and get them signed by all your friends and coworkers, it just requires you to show up and do something. Because, as I always say, the future belongs to those who show up.